telepathy or telepathy as we know it to be, and talking to the dead. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to discuss exactly what telepathy feels like, sounds like, and how we all do it all the time, and how we can communicate with spirit on the other side, or your dead loved ones. Spirit hate calling themselves dead. They say we're more alive than you. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about, talking to the dead. Here on Elevate with the beautiful Kristen and myself, KAren Swain. Stay tuned. Welcome to Elevate, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. I'm KAren Swain, your host, and you're listening on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM, syndicated radio all over the world. G'day, and welcome to another show, Elevating Consciousness, the awareness shift, waking the quantum self. Yeah, we're talking, it's a bit like a couple of people suggested on the last Third Eye Awakening show that we did a couple of weeks ago, Kristen, that we do part 2. And this is kind of like a part 2 of our psychic abilities, if you like, telepathy and third eye. When you get into the psychic realm, okay, I'm talking to the mob, but they're saying a bit like the physical realm. When we're using our physical senses, we're using them all together. Like we can focus on seeing and hearing and smelling. Maybe if you're smelling a perfume or food or something, you put your focus on your nose and say, that smells good, and you might shut your eyes. But they're all operating all together, all at once, right? Same with our psychic senses. And telepathy or telepathy, as Bashar, Darryl Anker's Bashar calls it, telepathy, is all part of our psychic senses, which includes that third eye awakening. Hey, g'day to the girls. Hey, Mish.
So do you mind explaining telepathy? I haven't heard that Bashar explanation before.
Yeah, well, he was talking about telepathy. I think somebody asked him about telepathy, and he said it would be more correct to call it telepathy. He was a bit of a play on words, in that as we are telepathically communicating, we're also feeling that communication with our empathy. So it's like telepathy. Yeah.
Okay.
And as we talked about on the Third Eye Awakening show too, when we talk about seeing, remember I asked people if they see things, and they say, no, I don't see anything, but I feel. And I said, well, describe to me what you feel. And then they'll describe this whole like scene. She looks like that, and it looks like this, and it was that color, it was this. And so they'll describe it as if they've seen it, but then they tell me, I didn't see it, I felt it. So it's a bit the same with telepathy or telepathy. Yeah. And talking to the dead. A lot of people say, oh, I want, what are you saying, Hamish?
She's saying telepathy. Tell them.
Telepathy. Lol, tell them. Oh, you're funny. Telepathy, you tell them, love. Yeah, and so I'm going to explain it a bit. Like we talked about, the third eye is your mind seeing rather than your eyes seeing, like you're visualizing in your mind, and that's your third eye. What you're visualizing, is it coming from your fearful thoughts, or is it coming as a download from spirit? This morning, g'day, Heidi and Kristen. She says, hello, KAren and Kristen. Much love from Boulder, Colorado. Telepathy is the same. It's you listening to your thoughts and hearing your thoughts. And we do this all the time. Like we're thinking all the time. And we're not always speaking what we're thinking, but we're hearing or noticing our thoughts. Not everybody is noticing their thoughts, but usually Esther Hicks described this when she spoke about our emotional guidance system, which when I heard Esther Hicks say that over 20 years ago, it was such an aha moment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like we think emotions are there to torture us, feel good, feel bad. I feel bad. I'm feeling tortured. And she said, actually, it's your feedback loop. It's a feedback. It is like your sat nav of the vehicle that you're driving, called your physical vehicle. And it is an indication of the vibration or the frequency you are emitting. You feel it. So when you're having a thought that's in alignment with your soul's purpose, or even with your ego's desire, or just desire in general, like I want to feel good, I want to feel better, I want to feel fit, I want to feel happy, I want this, I want that, I want this. When you're in alignment with what you're asking for, you feel that alignment, you feel that frequency as good emotion. When you're out of alignment, when you've taken a wrong street, she's using the analogy of the sat nav. When you're taking a wrong street, your direction is to go one way, you feel that misalignment as negative emotion. So when you're wanting something and then you feel bad, you always notice, usually, not everybody. I did meet somebody who was so in his head he didn't even notice how he felt, but that's unusual. But most of us always notice how we feel. We might not always be aware of what we're thinking, but we'll know what we're feeling. And then you can use that emotional guidance system to like, I'm feeling bad. What am I thinking? Like, what am I believing? What is the thought behind the frequency, the emotion?
Right.
And
when you were talking about that, like a feedback, it's like an echo chamber is what came to me, because it's just kind of bouncing back and forth off itself. And it just repeats. Yeah, that's so fascinating. I have this thing that I'm working on. I don't know what you call it, but it's just something I think about a lot. And I think, am I a soul inhabiting a body, or a body inhabiting a soul? And either way, it doesn't really matter. But I know that in this existence, I'm very much more aware, and I feel my body more than I feel or am aware of my soul. So I have to like work at and be intentional or focus on it, on what's going on with my spirit or my senses, my feeling, rather than this body and all its, and the echo chamber that it sits in is what it feels like to me. So, and so I have to work on it.
Yeah, I've just had an aha moment to that inquiry.
Okay.
When I say aha, the guides were just talking to me then. Am I a spirit? Because we in the spiritual community, we say this all the time. I'm a soul inhabiting a body. I'm a soul first. I'm spirit first, body second.
Right.
And then you said, am I a spirit inhabiting, or a soul inhabiting a body, or a body inhabiting a soul? And the guide said, you are a soul inhabiting a body. Not the most correct words, but let's just go there for a linear mind, human mind understanding.
Okay.
They said, but we want you to believe that you are a body inhabiting a soul. And I said, what?
I love that. Thank you, Mom.
And I'm like, what? Because I have to say, every time I think about being a soul inhabiting a body, it's not that it doesn't feel like truth, but the other feels more true, right? Because we so identify with the body. And I said, why do you want us to believe that we are a body inhabiting a soul? And they said, that's the human condition. That's the human play. That's the human experience you've come to enjoy. You've come to experience. Because when you're outside of the human condition, as you are every night when you're sleeping and when you reemerge from, you finish this lifetime, you're more there than you are here. You understand the truth of who you are, and that's your permanent experience, but you want to come into the human experience to believe you are the body, to believe you are the human, the personality, the ego. That's the experience you've come to have.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, but that's like where we get into a whole lot of trouble when we believe that, because we're in suffering. And they're saying, yes, and that's when you have the opportunity to wake up in those moments of suffering, or in those moments of feeling bad. You have an opportunity to remember that you are a soul inhabiting a body, and that's the enlightenment journey. And they're just reminding me, you can't have that journey when you're dead. You're omnipresent. You're in you're in that truth as your only truth. Sean put it beautifully when you had him on the show. He just used different vernacular. Like he said, I can't remember what he said. He said, when you're, in spirit, God's will is your will. That's what he said. Yeah. He put it more in that sort of religious.
And thinking, for me, God is source, and source is in me.
Yeah.
And it's like saying I am God, but it's just a part of it that's in me, but I'm not God as in like I rule the world and the planets and everything.
Yeah.
Like not the sky daddy God, some people call it.
Yeah, some dude sitting on a throne with a crown.
Yeah.
Doling out rules and regulations.
Yeah. And it's when I have that connection, or when I'm tapping into that I am, I guess, telepathic, walking through this world, picking up on those things so much better. I guess we're saying like we pick up on it unconsciously all the time. But
absolutely. This is what the mob are saying, irreverently called the guides, the mob, are saying we're all telepathic. We're all telepathic, telepathy. We're all utilizing telepathy all the time. It's just that we're not aware and we don't know how to utilize it. Like most of us suffer from our emotions because we see something we don't like, we get upset about it. It hits a conditioned thought form or a fear, if you like, that sits in our subconscious. This is unfair. This is unjust. Where in your life do you feel like you've been treated not fairly, and you feel like you've got injustice in your life? So it hits your own conditioning, basically, and then you're angry at the world, and you don't understand that your anger at what you're perceiving, what's coming at you, is a sat nav, is guidance, that it's asking you to look, to be aware, to be aware. I remember, look within, look at what you're believing to be true. I remember when someone was asking Esther about coming to Earth and feeling that guidance and feeling that connection to source, connection to God, connection to wisdom, soul, higher self, heaven, whatever you want to call it. And they said, surely there could have been, like, we feel so lost here on Earth and we're all in our drama and our emotions. Surely there could have been a stronger way to feel more connected to source. And she said, what is stronger than your emotions? Seriously, like, sledgehammer, like, what is stronger than how you feel? Like, that is your guidance system. That is guidance, right?
Yeah. And that's so funny because honestly, I was having a conversation with a good friend today about that, like just about emotions in general. And emotions are discounted so often, especially like men are told not to cry, and then women, when they get emotional, they're being irrational. And I just call it passionate. Like, they're just being passionate about it. And I view that as a positive word, but somebody else may not, and it's perception, right? It's how we perceive it. Back to that again, right? Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you brought this up. Did you bring this up? Because I have my eyes shut.
I didn't. I was going to, but I really liked what you were channeling from your guides or picking up on.
Heidi said, ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued and fascinated with telepathy, practiced before I even knew it was. Yeah. So recently, I've been watching Smallville. So it was a 10-year series about Superman, which I never, ever watched, right? And it came on one of my streaming services. Mm-hmm. And I've started watching it. And a lot of it is, silly, crazy sort of soap opera type stuff. But it goes over a lot of things that we talk about on the show,
Yeah.
And I've always been intrigued or passionate about Superman from a get-go. He's an alien here on Earth. He's an alien.
He totally is.
He's an alien with superpowers. So what intrigues me is that this alien with superpowers, as we speak about, aliens coming to Earth that have different DNA structure and different abilities than we do. In the Superman series, he's got the strength and he can put out fires with his breath and he can, burn things with his eyes and he can
read people's minds.
No, he can't. can't. Like
Not in
this
the
series,
show? He
not in
does?
this show. I've never
Oh,
actually
oh, maybe he
seen.
doesn't.
No, I've never seen Superman be telepathic
Oh, you're
or
right.
reading people's mind. And I'm like, are you serious? You give him all these physical abilities, but you don't give him the most basic ability that every ET has, and that is the ability to be aware and be more deliberate with their thinking and understanding different frequencies and knowing how to tune into different frequencies. And like the Greys have explained to me how telepathy works, and it's crazy amazing how it all works. And I was having a bit of a chat to them about it the other day. It's like, why can't we hear other people's thoughts, or why can't we speak to dead people? Like, how is it that we can't, is what I was asking. And they're saying, well, the analogy is much like a radio station. It's all about energy, vibration, and frequency, right? The radio station, all those stations are playing all that music, but you have to tune into the frequency.
Right.
And when you hit that frequency, you can hear the radio really clearly. And they said the same with telepathy. When you shift the frequency, when you change, and some of it can be so subtle, like the mastery of the mind. I can't believe that Superman didn't have any mastery. And so watching this series, Smallville, he's clueless when it comes to stuff like this, right? And I'm like, how can you give him all these abilities and you don't give him this most basic ability? But they do explore these things with other people. So there was a young boy who was completely telepathic, and I was watching this show depict what it's like to be telepathic. And he would meet people and say things to them that he couldn't know, and they would say, I don't believe that, don't be so rude. Like, they would be affronted with his honesty because he was reading their thoughts or reading their emotions.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to show it, and they would get pissed off with him. And I'm watching this and I'm like, oh, this is totally my experience. This has been my experience my whole life. And then there were scenes where he would meet people, keep his mouth shut, and they would walk away, and he would say to the person he's speaking to, maybe it was Superman, oh, they feel like this and they believe this, and they believe that and they believe this and they feel like that. And I'm like, oh my God. And again, it was completely showing me my experience my whole life, but nobody told me that that was telepathy when I was a kid, and I didn't know how I knew stuff.
Yeah.
And then people would get pissed off and angry with me because they didn't want to be revealed. I don't feel like this. That's not how I feel. Like they try to hide it. And so I was watching this silly Smallville show, not silly, but Smallville. And I was watching this kid be telepathic, and it was like, and this was only this week, and that's why I thought, well, let's talk about telepathy on the show.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I love finding nuggets and little pieces of gold in just things like that. And it doesn't, necessarily intend, or it does, who knows. But, I love that that's the experience you had with that. But it's bringing to mind something that's a little controversial, if you will. Like when somebody goes to get a reading from a psychic, and there's a difference between a psychic and a psychic medium, I guess. And I should remember this, but I don't off the top of my head very well. But some are reading my energy and picking up on, and they may not know that they're picking up on my hopes and dreams. And so they're like, I see you with, this, that, or the other. And I'm like, yeah, I totally want that. And, and it's coming, and, maybe sort of making me feel like that's coming to me. But what I trust more is somebody that's speaking to my guide through their guide, like they're communicating up here,
Exactly.
my guide. And that's different, because I feel like they're picking up on my telepathic energy rather than,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll tell you a story. When I first started on radio, I started with a friend who's a working psychic. So she's like many working psychics. She would sort of predict the future or tell you about, I see you're renovating your house. And she would tell you stuff you already know. And people would walk around going, oh, that's so amazing. She's so amazing. And I never operated on that frequency. So it used to amaze me. And then she'd talk to the dead people. And one day I was going through a real emotional drama in my life, and I was having a bit of a chat to her. She was always on the phone counseling people, such a beautiful woman. And she was counseling me, and she was saying things to me, maybe you have to do something completely different in your life, but, like really change what you do. And in that moment, I knew that she was picking up on my fears because I was so in judgment. I'm like, if I can't get this, crap together in my life, how can I ever help anybody? And so I was really doubting myself, thinking maybe I should stop working as a healer and a teacher and a psychic and just get a job and a real estate agent, which I did for a week, right? But anyway, I was really doubting myself. So she's telling me, like, this is how I should live my future. And in the moment she was telling me, I knew immediately that it was not my future, but it was my fear talking.
Yeah.
Which this is what a lot of psychics do, right? They read your energy field, like the dominant thought forms in your energy field. But like you said, they're not speaking to your soul or your higher self or your guides and, having that conversation, which is
Right.
where you went, which is what the majority of working psychics do. They call themselves psychic mediums. They don't call themselves channelers. More people that call themselves, not that labels define who you are, because it's sort of foggy territory.
Yeah.
But
Well, and that's why evidential mediums, I think, are more accepted sometimes. Like Suzanne Giesman, like she'll sit down for a session. People like her will sit down for a session with a client, and they'll, be communicating, and they'll get like, something like, you're wearing today a piece of clothing of, your husband who passed away, which I am
right.
today, actually. And
Yeah.
and you wouldn't
Yeah.
know that through a Zoom call, what I'm wearing, and and they would describe it, and then I'd be validated, and then I would be assured, okay, so this person is doing the psychic reading, not the telepathic reading my mind and my energy field
Exactly.
kind of.
Well, what they're saying about Suzanne is because she came from such a regimented military
Yeah.
logical background, the evidential medium was a part of her journey. And in the beginning, that's where she was. But as she's advanced on her journey, they're just applauding her. She has tuned into that higher perspective, that soul's perspective. And so
Yes.
she has the ability to move between frequencies, because it is an adjustment of frequency. I'm so used to talking to the mob, which is a totally different frequency, different radio channel station, to talking to people that have just passed over, that are in maybe an astral form, an astral realm. Some NDEs have called it the place between heaven and earth.
Yeah.
That place where you go to acclimate, to drop all your memories of being human, and to remember that you are omnipresent, that you're a spirit. And like there are those, and that's where a lot of mediums go to speak to dead people, so they're still quite identified with the personality identity of who they are on earth, which is what people on earth want. When they speak to their father or their lover or their husband, they want to speak to the identity that they had the relationship with, and not like even Esther said this about Jerry when he died. I don't want Jerry to merge into the infinite that is Abraham, that I understand as Abraham. I still want Jerry to be the Jerry that I knew on earth, and have that connection with that personality and that feeling. And he said, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. I it's interesting because part of this is communicating with the dead. So when my late husband is around, I just feel all the, like, and I say feel because that's what it is. I'm picking up on, or I'm feeling him as he is now, a being of light, a being of love.
And just
It's all, but his personality is there, but it's all those best parts of his personality that I loved. Sometimes when I'm just going through like a grieving moment, which is very human and I feel is very natural, I'm caught up in the, struggles that we had when we were married, fighting over little things and stuff like that. And that part of his personality. And I know he's moved beyond that. And so I do love it when his presence is around, because I get just the best part of his personality and the best part of Andrew,
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I want to ask you some questions about that, but I'm just going to share what Mish is saying.
Yeah.
I've been feeling lately that our body has a fraction of our soul here. The core is in the higher self. Yes, making sense to me at the moment. Yep, you got it, Mish.
Yeah, beautiful.
We send a stream of consciousness into the bodies that make up the physical vehicle, but the bodies incorporate the etheric, the astral, causal. Like there are many different levels of what makes up the energetic frequencies of what makes up the physical body. And when we die, we can move out of the physical vehicle, which is just another energetic vehicle that we perceive to be solid and real, into an astral vehicle, and that holds all our memories and our identity. And that's who a lot of psychics can talk to. And there's the etheric vehicle of the physical form, where healers can go and work in the etheric energy to adjust the physical, because it manifests first in the energetic structure before it manifests in the slower, more physical structures. But yeah, so we send a portion of our soul, if you like, higher self, into this experience. That's why I feel I can live in so many paths at once. Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
she thanks you for your explanation.
Yeah, and that's what we mean as multi-dimensional. But as the guides just revealed before, when you said, am I a soul living in a body, or a body living in a soul? And they say, we want you to believe that you are a body with a soul rather than the other way around, because that's the experience you've come to have.
So we're going back to me feeling like I'm cheating when I'm busting through that?
Yeah, which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool. As we spoke about last week with Ananda Mayama, she was completely that guru in India who was completely identified with who she is as spirit and not body. And again, when we were talking about her last week, the guides were saying, that's the experience of one, not of many. I mean, that's an experience that someone has come to show us, but it's not, she's not saying everyone needs to be like me. And in fact, she never said that. She never, ever said that. You need to be like me, nor did, Jesus or any of the spiritual teachers who have come to show us who we really are.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus did say, you can do all that I have done and more. He didn't say, you got to be like me. He's like, this is what's possible. Like, this is what it might take you 1,000 lifetimes to get there, but this is what's possible. Like, this is possible. Yeah, if you choose it. And so getting back to telepathy. So we're all thinking all the time, and we can be more aware of our thoughts. And it is the different frequency of the thoughts that allows you to distinguish the thought that is connected to your fears or your judgments or your criticisms of others and yourself, and the thoughts that are coming from your source or your soul, or another person. But because the vibrational match, like a lot of empaths suffer because they feel the pain of other people, and the guides have always said, you can only really feel the pain when you're a match to that pain. So yes, you're feeling their pain, but it is a part of your pain. So when you're not attached to it being a part of your pain, you can be aware of the energy or the thoughts or the emotions of another and not suffer in any way. So they're saying telepathy works better when you're not in judgment. Okay, so they're saying that it works better when you meet someone for the first time and know nothing about them, and you've not gone into criticism or judgment straight away, than it does with somebody that you know well, or someone that you even know, because you've got a whole slew of what you think about that person and who you think they are, and that's going to disrupt any telepathic communication that you can get from them.
Yeah.
So like in the Smallville episode of this young man meeting people for the first time and then saying, they really believe this and they feel like that and they feel like this, and like revealing their thoughts because he was completely telepathic. It works sort of better like that until you're more attuned to the different frequencies. You can understand the subtle energy.
Yeah.
You can
Can I
distinguish which is your thought and your fear. You can distinguish it from what you're picking up. Yeah, go on.
Well, I wanna ask a little bit about tuning like that, because um, my experience with that, because I've been doing this for many years. You just like shook your head at your mom. Did they just tell you something?
Yeah.
What they tell you? I want to hear. I'll ask this in a minute.
Oh God, I've got it totally gone because I was listening to them and then I went back to listening to you. You said I want to talk about more attuning.
Yeah. Well.
And what did they say? They said they just repeated something that we'd already been saying. Okay. What did they say? They said judgment, 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 judgment. Like
Okay.
when you live outside of judgment and criticism, then you can be really aware of how others feel and what they think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to finish this thought. I'm thinking of the telepathy tapes because I always go back to listening to the kids that are on the spectrum, but they're non-verbal and they're not really living in the world like we're living in the world. And a lot of them don't even know how to have control of their physical body. There's apraxia, I think she called it, and they're okay. So they're saying because of their condition, they're so outside of judgment of others because of their condition. But anyway, go on. What were you going to say? Many of them.
Okay. So I want to put this into practical use, because I feel like I'm learning something here that I can take into the real world, right? Outside of this little studio. So I come across somebody and maybe they're going through something and I'm going to want to help them, or I can sense maybe a loved one of theirs is nearby that's passed over something. So I'll drop the judgment, drop the fear, and then I have this thought form for myself that I get to tune into their frequency, but like I don't know what frequency they're at. And so I feel like I'm uneducated on, is it like, 1783 hertz that they're at? Do I need to turn to that? Like that's me. I get technical, but maybe I can just say, all right, match my frequency with theirs and
There you
be
go.
open to
Yeah.
that.
Well, you don't even have to say that. What the guides are saying, you can if you want to. If that works for you, they're saying go for it. Don't make them wrong, Karen. But what the guides are saying, especially when you work as a healer, as you do, whenever you have the intention to be there for somebody else, instantly connected. So it's just the intention. You don't even, as I said, we did a bit of a meditation for healing this morning. I don't know if I said that off camera or on camera with a group of people. And as one of the facilitators was going into, do this, do that, think this, let's do that, the guides are just saying, so unnecessary, so unnecessary. You're just drawing it out because you feel out of the water with this stuff, and so you make all these rules and regulations, and evoke this and say that, and bring in this person, and bring in the healing guide, and they're just saying unnecessary. It's so much faster than that. You just have the intention to be of service, have the intentions to be of service, and bang, it's there. And when you're talking to strangers, when you're aware of who you are and what you can do, it just you don't even have to tune into their frequency. Yes. Okay. Michael Tamora. Thank you. Michael's here. Hi, Michael.
Oh, hello, Michael. I love you.
I had this discussion with him on the show. And I said, I like to think I'm a bit like you, Michael, in that I can hear people's souls talking to me, not just their thoughts. And I asked him how that happens. And he said, well, let's look at you, Karen. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, you're really interested in people. You're curious and interested in people. And I just sat back and I had that aha moment. And that's that intention. When you're interested in someone and you're there and you're listening to them, like, what do you have to say? I'm interested in what you have to say. Instantly connected, right? Instantly connected to their frequency. That's how you tune into their frequency.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah, they're saying. They're saying, when someone's talking and they're babbling along and you're not interested, and you say, we tune out, Like we even use that vocabulary. Like I tuned out. What was he saying? I don't know. I tuned out. He was babbling. Like you weren't interested in it, right? So you literally tune out. Like you might not. My ex-husband used to do this to me when I was young and I met him. He used to look at me and he'd go, and he would look at me like, I'm really interested in what you're saying. And I'm like, oh, a man that listens to me. Oh my God, marry him. Anyway, I soon discovered that that was a ruse because he just knew how to look like he was listening. And he was completely tuned out.
Oh my gosh. And you fell for it. Oh.
I did. I fell for it. But I soon realized you're not listening to what I'm saying. You know how you can test that? It's like, did you hear the Queen died? I mean, she has died now. And people go, It's like you say something outrageous and they just say, yes, 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 I'm listening to you. And they don't respond because they're not listening. They're tuned out.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. And they want to just reiterate with this. It's the same in spirit. It's the same in spirit. It's the same in spirit. When you want to use your telepathic abilities to talk to spirit, to talk to your dead loved ones, the dead, I called it talking to the dead because that sort of like makes it sound talking to spirit. They hate being called dead, but talking to spirit, it's you just tune into a memory of them or a funny memory of them, that you have the intention, you tune into a memory of them, a memory that makes you happy, that keeps you in that high vibe, and you're instantly connected. Okay, they're saying you're never not connected, but you're connected in a way that you have the awareness of how you are allowing that communication. You've tuned the radio station. Shh, gotcha. Now I can hear you. Because I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking of a good memory of you. And you're connected. You're instantly connected. When you're not connected is when you're, driving the car, washing the dishes, doing this, doing that, like thinking of other things. Because we are multidimensional, we have many thoughts going on simultaneously. And where your focus is what you'll experience, what you'll hear, what you'll experience in your physical body as the feeling, the empathy, and the telepathic communication. They're saying it's happening all the time, but we're tuned out because we're more focused in one way or another. We're worrying, we're stressing, the shopping lists, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I've got a friend who is sick at the moment and she's had problems, and she's a very fast mind, and she has a very, she's an accountant, she has a very logical job. And so my suggestion to meditate for her healing is kind of falling on deaf ears. She's like, yeah, I should. And then she's like, but I'm so busy because I've got to do this and I've got to do that and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And so where are you going to get that guidance to stop and focus and be more aware of who you are? It's like when your body starts failing on you and the doctors say, no drug we can give you is going to help and no operation is going to help. So where do you go? You've got to listen and go within, and she'll get it eventually. She's a friend of mine. She's got me reminding her.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, you were talking about tuning out, and maybe with her you could try this. When my kids were small, I found that, if I was getting instructions out, or we got to take care of this, or blah, 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 or, and I kept repeating myself, they would tune me out. And so I learned to get really quiet and still and almost whisper. And then they had to listen. They would totally focus and listen. And then they go, because they're like, wait, what is she saying? Wait, what? So maybe you could find a more subtle, gentle way to get through to her.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I think
funny.
I think most people aren't aware of their telepathic abilities because usually most, not all, but many, they're so self-obsessed that they're not that interested in other people. That's what I found. It's like there's a great scene in Beaches with Bette Midler, who plays this total narcissistic sort of actress. And she sees a long lost friend after a long time, and she's rich and she's got the big dog and the big house and the husband and everything. And they meet, and she comes over to her house and she's like, "How are you? It's been so long. It's so good to see you. You know, let me ask you about you. What do you think of me?"
I've always loved that. Oh, I'm rattling on talking about myself. What about you? What do you think of me? Yes. I've been watching old Bette Midler movies lately, and they're actually really funny. But yeah, you
That's the
know,
human condition. It's like, how
yeah,
are you? But let me tell you about me, because I'm going to ask you out of politeness, but what do you think of
yeah,
me? And let me tell you all my problems. So we're so focused on self that we're not focused. Just Michael explaining it to me all those years ago. You're interested in people. Like you look deeply, like, oh, why do they feel like that? And I wonder why that's happening in their lives. And tell me more. Like I really tune into people, and it's given
yeah,
me the ability to hear them on all levels. But most people aren't that interested. They think they're interested, but they're not. How are you? Bit of, platitudes,
mm-hmm.
mom's sick and this is good. And I went on a holiday and this is happening. And yeah, and they're not that interested. So it's
Yeah,
that interest that tunes you into their frequency.
yeah,
So when people die, and maybe you haven't been that interested in them while they were alive, but now they're dead, like you're really interested in them. This is something when we did Spirit Speaks with Sandy, and one of the guys that was shot during the Trump assassination attempt, we spoke to him. I can't remember what his name was. And I asked, why did you die like this? Like, why die so young like this? And he said, I've been teaching my kids my whole life, and they never really listened to me. And you know what? Everything I taught them, now they're really going to listen. And I was like, yeah, that's so right. Like you give someone so much more importance after they die than sometimes you do when they're in your life,
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's so true. And he said, yeah, this was a way of really making them listen to what I had to say to them. And I'm like, dying? And he's like, yeah, you remember, Karen, there is no death. I'm not really dead. They think I'm dead, but where I am, I'm not dead. I'm fine. I'm like, oh, okay, right, yeah, right. So, yeah,
Yeah,
so being interested in what people have to say, like really focusing on them, tunes you into their frequency and gives you the ability to hear their thoughts or to feel their emotions or to know who they are more fully.
yeah. I have a question about that. Going in a little different direction, but do we have to do a station ID? Do we?
Yeah, I suppose we should.
I've
Yeah.
been
So
telepathically telling you to do one, but it's not working.
you have, what time is it? Yeah, we're nearly finished. Got an hour just whooshes by.
But
So
I
you're
have,
listening to Elevate Consciousness with Karen and Kristen, and we are on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 and 105.3 FM. Syndicated radio, which streams out of stations in New Orleans and the Gulf Coast, and syndicated all over the world in 120 different countries. Oh, I forgot to take that off. And yeah, we're streaming on 8 different video platforms today. If you want to re-listen to the show, please go to my YouTube station, KAren Swain. I think it's Blissful Beings. If you just put in my name, KAren Swain. Actually, sometimes I come up being on other people's shows because
because you've
you know,
done a few. Yeah.
well, YouTube will show other people's
Yeah.
shows more than they will my show. Because sometimes when people give me the name of their YouTube channel and I put it in YouTube, I cannot find it for the life of me. Like YouTube will not show. I can put in the exact name of the station, and YouTube doesn't show it to me because it's not a big station. Like it just has
Oh,
a few hundred subscribers or a couple of thousand subscribers, and yeah, it just doesn't. It doesn't. The
so
algorithms
odd.
don't, and unless they give me, like, I'll have to say, give me the exact link. And when they give me the link, even on the United Public Radio Network, trying to find their YouTube station, initially when I first joined the station, I couldn't find it. Like YouTube wasn't showing it to me. And I kept saying
Odd.
to Joe, what's the name of the station? What's the name? Because, yeah, YouTube wouldn't show it to
Huh.
me.
Huh.
Anyway,
Okay, so
so
this is my question. And I'll tell you an experience that I had. with Andrew, but it has happened with another person in my life, where just tootling along as normal. And the first time it happened with Andrew, we were driving in the car, and I saw a car that drove by that looked like this old car that I had. And I said to myself, and I know I said it in my head because I didn't want to say it out loud because I just didn't want the comment he would give me. But I said, gosh, I sure miss that old car. And he actually answered me and said, yeah, you do really miss that car. And I know I didn't say it out loud. And it
Yeah.
wasn't like, it was so weird. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about? I didn't say anything. And he goes, yeah, you just said you really miss that old car or something like that. And I said, I didn't say it out loud. He goes, yeah, you did. So we paid attention. And that happened
Yeah.
several times to our marriage, but I never read his thoughts or heard his thoughts, and it wasn't intentional. He would just hear my thinking and answer me.
Wow.
Well, I was hanging out with a group of friends, several months ago, and one of the guys in this group, I was thinking about somebody that wasn't there, and I said it in a way like I was having a conversation with myself, and he answered me. And I was like, why'd you say that? He goes, oh, I was just thinking about so and so. And I was like, And so, and I noticed with this other person, the same person, a couple months later or something, it happened again. But
Yeah.
I wasn't attempting to have them, read my mind, and I can't read theirs or hear their thoughts. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a really interesting thing that's happened in my life.
It takes practice and focus. And I'm going to come back to and intent, like being tuning into somebody. If you try too hard, okay, now we're going to practice telepathy. Then you're interfering. You're going to get it away. You're going to, because I remember it happened to my husband, my second husband. I've told this story because it was so funny. He was always like, I wish I had the psychic abilities that you do. And I kept saying, you do. Everybody does. You do. But he would believe that he didn't, like most people do. Like when you do my courses, I'm going to tell you, you have my abilities. You just have to, remember them, develop them. But we all have the abilities. Seth said in the Seth books, channeled information from the 60s, everyone is operating on your planet telepathically. Everyone, no exceptions. You couldn't drive on your roads if you were not. So it's a matter of being aware of where it happens. So anyway, in this one story, we were moving house and he had this big book, beautiful big Hare Krishna book of paintings of all the gods and everything. And he pulled it out of a box and he kept asking me, where do you want this? Where do you want that? Where do you want this? I was always the boss, right? And I was so sick of him asking me where to put everything. We're in this hallway in this house. And he held up this book and he says, where do you want me to put this? And in my mind, I thought, I don't give a damn where you put it. Shove it up your bum. I don't care. You know what he said to me? He said to me, no, I'm not going to shove it up my bum.
See? And that wasn't
Shove it
intentional,
up
but
my
he
ass.
heard it.
He heard that. I could have said anything in my mind in frustration. Like, shut up, work it out for yourself. But in my mind, I'm like, shove it up your bum or shove it up your ass. And he said the exact words that were in my mind. Exactly. And we both cracked up laughing because it was so exact. It was just absolutely exact. He read my mind.
So funny.
And then I said to him, see, you do have my abilities. Anyway, what's Shirley saying? I love these telepathy stories. My husband and I do this occasionally.
Organically?
Yeah. But have not tuned in to do this with each other. My daughter and I have always been tuned in. Now we laugh about it and just enjoy it. Yeah. So people that you are closest to, that you're not in judgment with, that you do have interest in, like daughters and husbands and family members and sons and things like that, you do have that stronger connection because you are interested in them. You are interested in their well-being. So you have that stronger connection. So you're tuned into them. You're tuned into their energy.
Yeah. Okay. So this just dropped in on me. So I'm going to share it. So the reason why, when I'm focusing and really intentionally tuning in and trying really hard to do it, it's because I think I can't do it, so that I have to do it. But when I'm not thinking I have to do it, it just happens because I really can do it. So I am. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. that, me tuning in, working really hard to tune in makes me say, I don't know how to do it and I have to work at it.
Right.
You reminded me too of this, YouTuber that I follow, Constance Mesmer is her name. And I've brought her up before, and she talks, I've heard her say it in a couple of her different videos, that she had got invited to this group and they communicate with the angels and bring them in and have these sessions. And she went to their group and they sat in their circle and it was lovely, this little intention, and they had some kind of prayer or something that they said to bring the angels in. And she
Right.
was laughing to herself like, that's so funny because they're already here. They're always here.
Exactly.
Like, why
Exactly.
are they going through all these motions to
I
bring
know
them in?
exactly.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking this morning. Yeah, they think it's funny. Yeah, they do. They think it's funny. We're just
Mm-hmm.
learning this stuff, but yeah, it's happening all the time, and we're not evoking it like, now I'm going to telepathically communicate. We're just unconsciously tuning into people, and we pick up stuff, and what it looks like is your thoughts. Oh, they think that. Oh, they're scared about that. Oh, they're worried about that. It was exactly like this young man in Smallville. Oh, she's worried and she's fearful of this and she's worried about that, or he's worried about this. It's like you just know stuff. You just know what they're thinking. And sometimes you're tuning into people's subconscious thoughts and they're not even aware of it. And so if you speak it, they're like, no, I'm not, I'm fine. I'm fine, which used to happen to me all the time as a young person, as a young girl, a young adult. I would hear what they really think or really believe, and I'd say it, and people would walk away or make me wrong. And I was always constantly judging myself for, a Libran. I'm a Libran, and I wanted people to like me, the nice side. Everyone needs to be nice to people. And it used to frustrate me because I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. But telepathy, we're all doing it all the time. I think we've got a long way to go to be as good as, especially like the kids in the telepathy tapes, who have really honed that ability. Or, okay, the guides are saying they haven't honed the ability, they haven't forgotten that they have the ability.
Oh.
So we have the ability, and we forget, and we say, we call it woo-woo, and we can't do it. And, they make a 10-year episode of Superman and they don't give him telepathic abilities. It's like, how can you spend 10 years making a series about an extraterrestrial that has superpowers and you don't make him telepathic?
Okay, so when you first brought that up, and I'm like, no, he could read your mind. And you were like, no. And I was remembering why I thought that. And it's so funny because the old movie with Christopher Reeve, Lois Lane, there's this series after he flies her all over, or when he's flying her all over, and she sings this song, and it's can he read my mind? Does he know what I'm thinking? And she was actually like, he can't. He can do all these things, but he can't read my mind. Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. So I think that's how, talk about psyops, we did the psyops. This is how they've dumbed down our innate ability to do this. Like with the Hollywood, like all the screens are telling us that, you have to be special, or even an extraterrestrial can't do it. It's like you have to be something, I don't know, like they've just conditioned us to not believe in our own telepathic abilities. And as Seth said, you're all operating telepathically on Earth. You couldn't drive on your roads if you were not. But it's the awareness of it. So being aware of how you're feeling is that empathy, that emotional guidance system. When you're communicating with somebody, how are you feeling? How are you judging them? Are you like, you don't want them to waste your time? Are you busy and you need to go? Or are you present and with them in the moment and interested in what they have to say? Then you're tuned in and you can receive those telepathic messages. And as I say, if you work as a healer, that's exactly the space you're in when somebody comes to you. I just, these days I sit and I just talk to the mob and I'm like, what is it that you want them to know? I just talk to them. Like I'm just in that constant telepathic communication with my guides that I call the mob, and that encompasses their guides. There's no distinguishing between your guides and my guides. It's just guides. So I'm tuned into that frequency, that frequency of guidance what is it that you want them to know? And I let people talk. They like to talk about their problems, blah, 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 blah. But half the time I'm listening to them, not listening to the complaint that's coming out of somebody's mouth. They'll be complaining about something and I'll be sort of like, what does she believe to be true about herself and life? And what is the subconscious programming that's creating this fear or this thought or this problem? And so I'm asking questions and receiving answers all the time. So I'm having that telepathic communication with the mob. But I do look forward to the day that I can sit next to someone and have a complete conversation mind to mind, like I do with my mob, because so far in this earth experience, I haven't had that experience. So I do look forward to that day when I can sit next to somebody and have a complete conversation mind to mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet. A few years ago, what Shirley's saying here, I asked my young grandson to say hello to my mum next time she came to him. He said, "Tell her yourself, she's right there beside you."
Oh, that's right. She has this beautiful grandson that's
Yeah, he's
really
totally
in tune. Yeah, he's
tuned
tapped
in, turned on, tuned in,
Yeah.
turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes, like the telepathy kids can do. Yeah, to each other, mind to mind. Yeah, me too. Authentic chat. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we can set that up with people. We can play and do those. We've done it in the inner sanctum too.
Mhm.
We've done little exercises where somebody's holding something and then we all tune into it and what it is that they're holding. I'll never forget Brad holding the glasses, eyeglasses, and what I got was I can't see anything. I can't see anything. I can't see anything. And so I thought it was my inability to see, but actually it was guided saying, "Their glasses, Karen." So
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
so the communication doesn't come as obvious sometimes as it does when you're looking at something. It can come in ways that it's not that obvious. But
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
stay
One of
curious,
the
ask questions. Go on.
Yeah, I just was going to say, just in my day-to-day, being the the spiritual being in this body or reverse, whatever, when I'm just coming up against people and we're communicating and I want to know what the real message is that they're trying to say, or I want them to know that I can hear them and pick up on them. I actually tune really into my throat chakra because that's the chakra of communication, like ears, nose, throat. Like I just kind of, am I listening? Let me listen with this part of myself. And I take my brain part out of it a little bit, like my logical thinking brain. And I can often pick up on the undercurrent of what they're expressing, if that makes
Exactly.
sense. Not necessarily just the words. And I feel like when I do that, that I hope that it's like an honoring of what they're working on communicating,
Yeah.
to me.
What the guides are saying about that, Kristen, is they're saying, don't listen just with a part of your body, listen with your whole body.
Yeah.
Listen with your
Yeah.
whole body.
Gotcha.
Like let your whole body be your instrument of communication. And they're saying that, and I'm asking, how does that work? And they're reminding me of how I already do it. So when somebody is communicating, I might have a pain in my stomach, or I might get a backache, or I might get a throat scratch. And I'm tuning into so that I'm feeling what they're feeling, or I'm feeling an area of distortion or imbalance in their body as pain or discomfort in my own body. But what we do is we often think, oh, this is my pain, this is my pain. And so then it is that you ask, what is the sensation I'm feeling? Is this my back pain, my throat pain, my scratchy throat? Or am I receiving some information with the person I'm speaking to? You can get visualization, you can get thoughts in your head, you can get feeling sensations in your body. So you're listening with your whole vehicle, your whole apparatus, your whole body. You're listening with your whole body. Yeah, your whole body is
It's a
like
resonance. It's
a resonant chamber. I'm seeing it,
yeah.
a tuning It's like it's vibrating and it's attuning to that vibration, and they're vibrating together.
And it's information in every
Information.
Yeah. I think I see what you see. So
Yeah.
Here's, let's see, Heidi put, I've taken a course or tell on telepathy and would break into groups and have practice partners. She loved it.
Yeah.
A course or two, this is what she said. She corrected that. But she says, I automatically close my eyes. I think of the Estes method on communication with spirit. Is that Esther or Estes?
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard of the Estes.
But then she says, yes, with all senses.
All senses. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of methods. People have their methods, but it can just be really simple. We're all doing it all the time. Be aware when you're doing it. How are you feeling? Use your emotional guidance system. How are you feeling at the time you're receiving that communication? Like, how do you feel? Oh, we've run out of time. I was going to say, how do you feel when you know that you're getting clear communication from your dead hubby? Yeah,
it feels,
I mean,
it feels like it's light and it's joy and it's love, and maybe that he could pick up on me, or whatever connection we had when he was alive that I thought was so fascinating, makes it so it's so easy for us to communicate now. And it always comes as, I've said it before, it's like a knowing that just shows up, but it's with his verbiage and his voice, but it's instant. So
it's instant. I always know, because I get that sort of aha moment. It's like I'm receiving information that my linear human brain didn't know. Like I've received information today from the mob when they said, yeah, well, this is the truth of who you are, but we want you to believe this. And I'm like, really? And then they explain it more and I go, why? That makes so much sense. And that aha moment, that is that confirmation that I'm receiving this information, and it's not me making it up or me tuning into my subconscious programming or my fears speaking or my criticism speaking, self-criticism speaking. It's that direct guidance, that direct telepathic communication with spirit or dead people or guides or another human. Because we're not used to communicating telepathically with each other, they're going to say it's going to take some time for us to acclimate to that way of communicating, because we're so used to the normal way of communicating with the kids and the telepathy tapes. Because they can't communicate verbally, their default setting is the telepathic communication.
Fascinating.
And the guides are saying, oh, we've run out of time, 2 minutes over. The guides are saying, before we learn to speak, our default setting is also the telepathic communication.
Of course.
Until we learn a different way. So, Anyway, I look forward to the day where I sit next to somebody and have a complete conversation, mind to mind, where I know that we're communicating like I communicate with my guides. I look forward to a physically focused human being. Anyway, big love to you, darling one. Thanks for always being there and having these great conversations.
And thanks to everybody who showed up.
I have to say, it's the Elevate shows for the live listeners are getting less and less. There's only been about a dozen people. 13, just went up to 13. But no way out of time already. What's she saying? Beautiful love to you, Shirley and Mish and Heidi and all the regulars. Thanks so much. And we'll find something else exciting to talk about next week. Let me know if you have something you want to talk about. And also let me know if you, after this conversation, you have a really visible conversation with someone in spirit, somebody that you've lost. Like, focus on them in a loving way and just imagine what they're going to say to you. Feel it in your body, how that communication feels, and write in the comments, what they said to you. And don't worry if you think it's wrong. Just put it in there. It's like, they told me they love me, but that would be obvious, wouldn't they? Well, that's what people say. They told me they love me, but that would be obvious. So maybe they are telling you, they're sending love. Let me know how the telepathy goes. Big love. Thanks, honey one. Thanks, Kristen. Catch you next time. Bye, y'all.